Good morning, everyone. This is Rabbi Yisroel Goldberg of Chabad of Rechavia and Nachlaot in Yerushalayim, and welcome to our morning class on Tanya from 9:30 to 10 o'clock, Bezrat Hashem, every weekday morning. And of course, we look forward to seeing you and having you participate in Bezrat Hashem. This should be a zechut for all of those that have been infected with the coronavirus, that they should have a refuah shalema, and may the holy words of the Tanya be a protection for all of us and everyone who has not been infected by the coronavirus, that Bezrat Hashem everyone should be healthy, remain healthy, and be able to celebrate all of the wonderful mitzvot of Hashem. Just before we start, I wanted to ask if you think we should have the class on Friday morning, and so please let me know by texting or by commenting on our Facebook page to this live video if you'd like to have this class on Friday as well, tomorrow morning. I'm more than happy to share the class with you and to have a farbrengen together, and so please let me know. And we'll let you know. It's hopefully positive, but I'd like to see what all of you think, and I think it would be a great way to launch this special Shabbat, where hopefully all of Am Yisrael will keep this Shabbat properly. Okay, so we are learning the 11th chapter of Iggeret HaKodesh, written by the Alter Rebbe, in the Iggeret HaKodesh portion of the Tanya, and the title of this chapter is L'Haskilcha Bina. And what we've learned up until now was that Hashem is good, and therefore everything that Hashem does is good, and we have to try to come to terms with it. We have to try to make an effort that we should live on these terms as well as human beings. It's quite difficult, but the more we learn, the wiser we get, and we're able to have the proper emunah as we need to. So now we're in the middle of the chapter. V'zehu ikar ha'emunah. On our Facebook page, we have this chapter, so you can look at the Hebrew text, or you can just listen along, and hopefully everything will be clear. V'zehu ikar ha'emunah. And this is the primary level of emunah and faith in Hashem. Shebeshvila nivra ha'adam. That for this man was created. Laha'amin. To believe, Delet atar panui minei, that there is no space in the world which is empty from Him, from Hashem. Ubeor pnei melech chayim, and we need to live with the light of the King, Hashem's holy face, holy radiance. V'alkein, and therefore, oz v'chedva bimkomo, strength and joy is with Him, with Hashem. Ho'il v'hu rak tov kol hayom, since Hashem is only good the entire day. In other words, always. The next statement is a very powerful one. V'alkein. V'alkein. Reshit hakol. Therefore, the primary instruction is sheyismach ha'adam, that a person should be happy. Yes, you heard correctly. Sheyismach ha'adam, that a person should be happy. V'yagel, and should be joyous. B'chol eit, at every time. V'sha'a, an hour. V'yichyeh mamash be'emunato ba'Hashem, and he should literally live with his emunah, with his faith in Hashem. Hamechayeh umeitiv imo, who Hashem gives him life, and does good with him, b'chol rega, at every moment. Umisha mit'atzev umitonen, and someone that is sad, depressed, and complains, mar'eh ba'atzmo, he is showing within himself, sheyesh lo ma'at ra, that he has a little bit of bad, of negativity, v'yisurin, and pains and suffering, v'chaser lo eze tova, and he's missing some type of good. V'hareze kekofer chas v'shalom, and that is if a person denies in Hashem's existence, as if, not literally, God forbid, as if. V'alkein hirchiku mitat ha'atzvut b'ma'od chachmei ha'emet, and therefore our wise and true sages, they pushed away very, very far the whole attribute of sadness. Excuse me, please. Thank you for your blessings. The whole concept of sadness. Of course, I'm going to wash my hands with the alcohol soap to make sure that everyone is healthy. If you look at chapter 26 in the Tanya, in Likutei Amarim, the Alter Rebbe explains over there a fascinating subject. He explains the importance of simcha over sadness. In fact, after Pesach, our Tuesday night class at 7:30 is going to be a whole course on Tanya chapter 26 for the next 6 chapters following, which is an unbelievable concept. But here is just one anecdote. The Alter Rebbe says over there that atzvut, depression, does not bring to anything good. In fact, he says, when 2 individuals are in a struggle, who is the one who is victorious? Not necessarily the person who is stronger, who's faster, who's quicker, the person that can make better moves. That person is able to be victorious and win the war. When a person is sad and depressed, that pulls a person down. That brings a person to laziness. That it puts a person to the side and cannot act the way he's supposed to. But when a person is happy and is full of chayut, full of life and full of energy, that gives a person the koach, the possibility to be able to overpower over different things that can pull a person down, over all these ideas and sadness which can come into a person's life. Aval, let's continue a little bit further. Aval hama'amin, but someone who believes, lo yachush mishum yisurin ba'olam, he will not be afraid from any pains or suffering in the world. Ubechol inyanei ha'olam, and in all of the subjects of the world, hen v'lav shavin, positive and prohibitive are equal etzlo. Shavin etzlo, equal by Hashem. B'hashva'a amitit, with complete equality. Umi she'ein shavin lo, and if for someone it's not equal, mar'eh ba'atzmo shu me'erev rav, that person is showing to himself that he's from the erev rav, which these are the people that tagged on to Am Yisrael in the time of coming out of Mitzrayim and throughout our history, that wanted to come to be part of Am Yisrael because of the good things that were happening. They wanted to be saved from punishment. The erev rav, dilegarmayu avdin. These are 2 words in Aramaic. They do things for themselves. ve'ohev et atzmo, and he loves himself, latzet mitachat yad Hashem, to go out from under the hand of Hashem, ve'lechyot b'chayei ovdei gilulin, and to live a life of idol worship, b'shvil ahavato et atzmo, because he loves himself. I would like to address now a subject that yesterday we talked about, how important it is for a person to believe in Hashem. And when a person truly believes in Hashem, then a person will not be concerned of any troubles that come to a person, God forbid. So the question is that today we learned some strange words, seemingly strange words. Sheyismach ha'adam. A person should be happy. What does it mean to be happy? How could a person be happy when they're suffering? So I have two stories to share with you. First of all, the story of Rabbi Elimelech of Lizhensk, the holy tzaddik, one of the students of the Maggid of Mezrich and the friends of the Alter Rebbe, Rabbi Shneir Zalman. And his yahrzeit was just 2 days ago, on the 21st of Adar. So it's very appropriate to share the story with Rabbi Elimelech. And many stories that we have of Rabbi Elimelech together with his brother, Rabbi Zusha of Anipoli. The story goes that Rabbi Elimelech and Rabbi Zusha used to go on galut, quote-unquote exile. They dressed up as simple people, and they went to very far towns where no one knew who they really were. And this was a certain derech, a certain way of serving Hashem in those days, around 200 years ago, that people would place upon themselves, accept upon themselves pains and suffering and embarrassments. And so, on one of these trips, where they went from place to place, they came to a certain town. And apparently, the guard of the town said, "You guys are spies. You don't belong here. You're not from here." And they threw them right into the prison. When they came to the prison, they were under terrible circumstances. And unfortunately, in the middle of the room, where people had to do their dues, and it was obviously a terrible odor, and it came time for davening. So they turned to each other and they said, "What do we do?" Rabbi Elimelech saw that Rabbi Zusha started to cry. And he cried, he said, "Zusha, why are you crying?" So Rabbi Zusha said, "What do you mean, why am I crying? Because I want to daven to Hashem. It's come the time to daven mincha, and I can't daven to Hashem." So Rabbi Elimelech said, "You know what? The same God that told you that you need to daven mincha every day, the same Hashem said that when you're in a close proximity to waste, especially if there's a tremendous odor, then you're not allowed to daven. So in this scenario, by not davening, you are fulfilling the will of Hashem." And so Rabbi Zusha was so excited that Rabbi Elimelech and Rabbi Zusha started to dance, and they were so happy. And they danced because they're doing the will of Hashem by not davening. And the prisoners that shared the same cell with Rabbi Zusha and Rabbi Elimelech, they thought this was pretty funny. And so they also started to dance. And within a couple of minutes, the entire cell, the entire prison was up and dancing, up and happy. They obviously had no idea why they're dancing. They just liked the action. Or as they say in Hebrew, the action. And so the guard comes running in. What are you doing? Why is there all of this dancing? What is this, all this noise? And so they all pointed to the two holy brothers of Rabbi Zusha and Rabbi Elimelech. It's all their fault. They are the ones that started to dance and make noise. We just joined along. So they took him out and they said, why are you guys dancing? And they explained. Because, as much as they could explain to this guard, because of this pot in the middle of the room. And so the guard decided that he's going to stop the dancing. And he took the pot of waste out of the room. And obviously Rabbi Zusha and Rabbi Elimelech were able to daven to Hashem. And once again they started to dance. And everyone started to dance with them, because now they were dancing, they could fulfill the will of Hashem of davening and praying to Hashem. And then everyone joined in, and the guard said, why are you dancing now? And then it became clear why, and they put it back in to the middle of the room. The message is that we have to have a perspective on how we fulfill Hashem's will. The famous phrase of the Alter Rebbe, the Baal Tanya, he writes, Ilu nitztavinu lachtov eitzim. When we observe a mitzvah from Hashem, we're doing it not because of the feeling, how we feel about it. We're observing the mitzvah because it's Hashem's mitzvah. Ilu nitzavinu lachtov eitzim. Even if the mitzvah was to go and chop wood, we would do that also, because that's the mitzvah from Hashem. Even though we may not understand how great that is and why it's so important, but the fact itself that Hashem said so, that is enough of a reason to be happy, and that's enough of a reason for us to observe the mitzvot of Hashem. And so, therefore, hopefully this sheds a little bit of light into the concept that the Alter Rebbe introduces today, and that is that Reishet HaKol sheyismach Adam. A person should be happy. A person should be positive. Not always do we understand why we need to be happy, but it doesn't matter. Happiness does not have to be for a certain reason. In fact, the ultimate happiness is called simcha b'taharata, a pure happiness. A pure happiness means for no other reason, just for the fact of being happy. We're happy that we're connecting to Hashem, and that's enough of a reason, even if we may not feel why we need to be happy. And now there's another story that I want to share with you, which is a very long story, but I'm only going to share with you the punchline of the story. And you can look at the video. This video was told by Rabbi David Shochat of Toronto. It's on a gem video, and I'm sure that you can search it on YouTube. Personal stories, personal testimonies of stories with the Rebbe. And his sister from California, I believe her name is Mrs. Newman. And both together, brother and sister, told the story. And the story in short is that the youngest sister, apparently, when the family lived in Toronto, this story I believe takes us back to the 50s, just in the first years of the Rebbe's leadership. And the father, Rav Dov Yehuda Shochat, Zichrono Livracha, was the Rav in Toronto. And somehow someone had come to the door, and everyone was by the door, and the young 2.5-year-old girl was in the kitchen, and a pot of hot soup on a Friday afternoon poured on top of her. She was in a critical situation, and they took her to the hospital, and immediately Rav Shochat contacted, I believe, his brother-in-law, Rav Chadakov, who was the chief of staff of the secretariat of the Rebbe, and the Rebbe gave a bracha and instructions. There were unbelievable miracles, and you can see the miracles in the video and the testimony. the point why I'm telling the story is because the Rebbe said that they should make on Shabbos a farbrengen, and they should be happy of the miracles that Hashem is going to provide. And Harav Emanuel Shachat, which is one of the brothers, Zichrono Levracha, who was also one of the prominent Rabbanim in Toronto, and at the time he was a young Bachar, I believe, and he expressed a question of how is it possible to be happy when there is a question if his sister is going to make it out the next few days alive. And the Rebbe insisted that there should be a farbrengen, and the Hasidim, there were a number of elderly Hasidim in Toronto, and the Hasidim encouraged the entire family to say l'chaim and be happy that be'ez Hashem there's going to be a bracha and a miracle. Needless to say that there was a tremendous farbrengen, and all the Hasidim were very, very happy. And there was an amazing miracle that the youngest sister, Baruch Hashem, made it alive. And she herself had many children living in California, and Baruch Hashem, grandchildren. And the point that I'm trying to bring out, of course, of this story is how having simcha, that's the way to go. Simcha, the nature of simcha is that it's poretz geder, that it breaks through all boundaries, and therefore it is a very important ingredient when it comes to emunah. When it comes to faith in Hashem, we need to be besimcha. And when a person is besimcha, that reveals within a person their extreme emunah and faith and certainty in Hashem, and that itself can bring the bracha. That itself can bring a Yeshua for a person in any dire situation that a person may encounter and experience. Let us continue in the text. If a person does not believe, God forbid, then what we say is that a person is proving that he really believes in himself. And that's why he's concerned for all of his own personal materialistic needs. Beginning of the next line, V'al Kain, an abbreviation, V'al Kain, Hu chafetz b'chayei b'sarim, therefore he wants his life of flesh, of materialistic needs, Ubane, and children and family, Umizone, and food and parnasa, livelihood. Kizet tov lo, because that's good for him, and he's concerned about his own benefit. And the Alter Rebbe now says very serious words. V'noach lo shelo nivra. It would have been better for him that he would not have been created. Ki ikar briata adam ba'olam hazeh. For the main creation of the world in this world, hu b'shvil nasoto, is in order to test a person. B'nisyonot elu, with these tests. Uladat et asher b'levavo, and to know what's in his heart. Im yifne levavo, if his heart will turn, acharei elokim acherim, after foreign gods, shehem ta'avot haguf, which they are the needs and the cravings of the body, hamishtal shalim misitra achra, which in turn come from the other side, the side of the tumah, ubahem hu chafetz, and he desires in them. Oh, im cheftzo urtzono, or if his desire and will is lichyot chaim amitiyim, to live true life, hamishtal shalim me'elokim chayim, which come from the living God, af she'no yachol, even though he might not be able to, or might be difficult. O im cheftzo urtzono, af she'no yachol lichyot chayim amitiyim, v'ya'amin, and he should believe, shebe'emet hu chai bahem, that in truth he lives within them, v'chol tzrachav, and all of his needs, v'chol inyanav, and all of his subjects, mishtalshelim be'emet, really come from b'pratei pratiyutehem, in their detailed of details, shalom misitra achra, not from the other side. Ki mehashem mitzadei gever kananu, for David HaMelech, King David, states in Tehillim chapter 40 that a person's steps are set out from Hashem. Ve'ein milachulu, and there is nothing which doesn't come from Hashem. Ve'im ken, and if so, hakol tov betachlit, everything is totally good. Rak sheino musag, the only thing is that we cannot grasp it. So, if we cannot grasp it, doesn't mean that it's not authentic, doesn't mean that it's not true. Chas v'shalom, it remains true. We just need to strengthen our own emunah. Ube'emunah zu, and with this faith, be'emet nasa kol tov. In truth, in a revealed sense, it will all truly be good. Gam begalui, also in a revealed sense. Shebe'emunah zu, for with this emunah, for with this faith in Hashem, shema'amin, that he believes, shehara hanidmeh begalui, that it seems on the surface that it's bad. Kol chayuto hu mitov ha'elyon, his entire life is from the good of above, from the good of Hashem. Shehi chochmato yitbarach, which this is Hashem's blessed wisdom. She'ena museget, that it cannot be grasped. V'hi ha'eden shelamayla me'olam haba. This is what Alter Rebbe began in the beginning of the chapter. This is the Eden, this is the true pleasure, which is even higher than Olam Haba, higher than the world to come. Harei, be'emunah zu nichlal u'mitale be'emet hara hamedumeh betov ha'elyon haganuz. So through having this emunah, through having this faith in Hashem, so the seemingly bad concepts get elevated into Hashem's good. In other words, go away, and Be'ezrat Hashem we will see only good. I would like to finish off with an obvious question which can arise. How can a person pray to Hashem that in the future it should be only good? We've been reciting this statement again and again, that for the future we wish each other that it should not only be good, but it should be a revealed good. How can we expect that? Don't we say that we believe that everything Hashem does is for the better? So maybe, God forbid, Hashem has planned for us negativity in the future. So how could we say that we should only have good? The answer is that there is a difference between the past and the future. When we talk about the past, true, there's emunah, complete faith in Hashem. We believe in Hashem be'emunah shleima, with complete faith, that every challenge, every test that Hashem gave us in the past is for the good. And therefore, we continue to pray to Hashem. However, the prayer for Hashem is for the future. The prayer for Hashem is that in the future, there should be only revealed good. Hashem wants of us, Hashem expects of us that we should cry out to Him, and we should ask, we should pray that for the future it should be only good. In fact, the mitzvah of prayer is, in addition to the prayers of 3 times a day, we daven Shachris, Mincha, and Mariv. The biblical mitzvah, the oraita of tefillah, is that whenever we have a problem, we have to daven to Hashem to save us from the problem, and naturally, to pray to Hashem, they should take it away. And we should not have any more problems anymore. There should only be good and revealed good. Therefore, I think this is a great note to finish this lesson, that Be'ezrat Hashem, for you and I and our whole community, all of Am Yisrael, we should all be protected. And Be'ezrat Hashem, there should not be any more sorrow. In the future, there should be only blessing, only health, There should be parnasa. Mashiach should come, and when Mashiach comes, there's going to be only revealed good in the world, and Bezrat Hashem, we should merit to see that with our own eyes immediately now. Just a short reminder to please write a comment in this live video feed,